Hello, everybody. So I wanted to actually go back into Limewire because I've been really playing around with it. I whittled my balance down to 8727, but I wanted to really get a little bit more into how to generate an image. And I've really been generating audio, believe it or not, for some projects here in Limewire. So I was going to go a little bit more into that as well. In the previous video, I did go over how to generate using an image, and I wanted to touch on that because there is a special caveat when it comes to generating an image, using an image to generate music. So I wanted to actually go a little bit deeper into that. But right now we're just going to go into generating different images. Now, I have access to different platform models, including DALL-E 3, which I have been living in for weeks now. In order to generate images for my store and everything. So I'm going to go into DALL-E 3. I'm going to go into Blue Willow just to see how it works. So let me go ahead and take a look at one of my previous images and see if I can, let me try this one. So I'm going to actually generate this in Blue Willow so you can take a look at how it does render and what happens whenever you do play around with some of the image dimensions. So with this one, it's already DALL-E 3, so we'll go ahead and change it to Blue Willow 4. And you can see here that it will cost me 99 credits, 0.99 credits, and I have the dimensions automatically as 1024, 1024, which is square. So if I wanted something that was more landscape, obviously I would choose that, the 1536 by 1024, and then I would choose or something that's more portrait. And as you can see, the generation cost is flat. There's no change in it. The quality of the details. So basically, if you want a higher quality, you go for highs. And there are times when I'll do that. If I want to see how it really does render under strict high quality controls. And I usually do just one image. But as you can see, once I did the high quality, my image generation cost went up to 1.5 credits. Totally fine. I can work with that. If I were to do 2 images, it would be 3 credits. So I'm just going to do 1. And now I'm going to take a look and see how that works. So when you generate, when it's finished generating, it'll automatically take from my balance here. And what this is just an X-rayed image. I've been playing around with the UHD X-rayed prompt just so I can get certain images. It's been a challenge, but it's been a lot of fun. Okay, let's take a look and see here. Okay, this is a beautiful image, but it's not exactly a UHD X-ray. It's kind of photorealistic, and she looks awesome, like a dancer. And I do like the wispiness of the image. Like her garment looks like it's made of thread. So it looks beautiful, especially when the sun hits it. So this is actually a pretty good render, but it's just not what I wanted. So if I were to go ahead and say, if I wanted to generate another image, the quickest way to do that is to use this. So you can basically create a variant. You can go ahead and press this, and it'll automatically update the model and the prompt so you can go ahead and play around with it. Of course, this is to expand the image, so you want to take a closer look at the image, right? And this right here, you can have a few more chances. You can edit the image in any way. You can outpaint it, upscale the image, and then you can actually download the image. So what I've realized is that whenever you download a DALL-E 3 image, it downloads as a WebP, or is known as a Webby. So you have to, and Webby's not really a WEBP file. It's not really, it's a standard, but I don't think it's a popular standard. So you're gonna have to convert it to either a JPEG or a PNG if you want to use it in certain ways. When it comes to these images in Blue Willow 4 or in any others, they usually download it either PNG or JPEG. So that's something to keep in mind if you're going to be downloading these images to be used, to be upscaled, because I've found that the upscaler that I use only does it with PNG, GIFs, and JPEGs. It doesn't do Webby WebP images. So that's something you want to keep in mind. Now, if we were to do the same image in, say, Google Imagine, and I've been playing around with Google Imagine a little bit, but I wanted to go ahead and have you take a look. So it's going to cost me 3 credits, no problem. So let's go ahead and generate the same image in Google Imagine. Here are the prompt guidance. I've not really had the need to really adjust the prompt guidance too much. Maybe I should have done that with the Blue Willow one. It might have worked a little bit better. So let me go ahead, and this is actually pretty interesting. What I found with Google Imagine is that it's very stocky. I don't know how else to describe it. This looks a little bit alien-like, in my opinion. I mean, I would definitely find use for it, but the proportions of the fingers and the hands, it doesn't look like a standard body. It looks more like an alien type body. And I found that with a few of the Google Imagine generations I've done, particularly this one. This one is of a render that for a product that I have up on Redbubble, and it's a pretty good render. But again, it's very angular in its line. It doesn't really, it looks more like a caricature a little bit more than an actual character image. And the proportions of the hands and everything, in my opinion, it's not something that I would use for my store, but it's something that it's still a pretty decent image. So I played around with Google Imagine. I played around with SDXL. I think SDXL is actually pretty good. So let's take a look at SDXL and see how that renders. Thanks so much for your time. If you could like this video, if you find it useful, it'll help me to figure out what kind of content you want to see. And then there's the YouTube algorithm thing. Yep, we all know how that goes. So thanks for your time, and let's get back to it. SDXL version 1. So we have here a plethora of different dimensions here. Let me go ahead and go to this one. So for SDXL 1.0, we're looking at 3 credits. When I went into 1024 by 1024, still 3 credits. So when I'm going to do quality details, so you got to play around with the quality details here. So more steps, it'll take a little bit longer to do. But let me try the prompt guidance at about 10 or 11. Let's go for 11. Let's go ahead and generate the image. This is actually a really cool render right here. It does have that UHD look that I was looking for. I don't really see the tornado too much, but it's like she is the tornado. So I definitely work with the symbolism of this. So SDXL works beautifully here. And you know, I've used it in a few renders, and I've thought the images were absolutely stunning. But as I've mentioned, I don't really use the Google Imagine too much because I'm not really fond of it. I think I might just have to find, I have to play around with another type of prompt. Maybe one of my pixel art prompts might come out a little bit better. But so far, I have been playing around with the DALL-E 3, Blue Willow 4, and SDXL 1. Okay, so now let's move to the music creation part. Now, there are a couple of different ways you can generate music. And I went over this again in my previous video on Limewire. The caveat I wanted to bring to everybody's attention when it comes to this is that when you use an image to generate, or when you use the image to music, let me go ahead and use image to music. I did use, had a pixel art image that I used to create music, and this is what it sounds like. So I mean, there's a longer version of it, which I won't play with you that for you guys. But if you're interested in seeing how I use it, I'll include the link in my description to like my little, what I call my ugly commercial for that product. So again, when it comes to this, you can choose the track, the loop, the jingle, and the mix, and you can choose a high intensity, which will give you more instruments. And the lower you go, the fewer instruments you have, which means that the sound may come in a little bit cleaner. And I've went through that in my previous video, which I still haven't quite gotten over the cacophony of that. Yeah, so whenever I've downloaded any image to music asset, it downloads as a zip file, which I thought was interesting, because I was expecting you just to download as a WAV file as I had before. However, when I opened up this, it came with a license. So I opened up the license. It showed me that this license was interesting. For any image to music asset, it's actually a sublicense certificate. So you have something named Mubert sublicense. So anything that is image to music is a remix of anything by Mubert Inc. So I thought that was interesting, and I said, well, if that's the case, then I'll use the two that I downloaded that I thought were pretty good, that I used in my commercials. And I wasn't going to really use that feature anymore because it seems like there are restrictions on how it can be used and everything. And of course, the fact that you have a license here it'll tell you what you can and can't do. I guess the rebel in me is like, don't tell me what to do. So with this one, I decided I'm not going to use the image to music unless it's absolutely necessary, unless I feel like I need to use that, which so far I have not. So I'm just going to basically stick to the create, use a prompt for my music. Creating music from a prompt. So you can probably ask yourself, well, what am I going to say? I personally, honestly, I have no kind of way to create music. But what I did find is that if I could use the prompt from my image to kind of help guide the music, it does help a little bit. So let me give you an example. Let me go ahead and go back to AI Studio. I'm right here. So let me go to create image. And let me go ahead and take an image. For example, let me take the prompt from this image. Beautiful. One warrior emerging from profound tornado. Okay, try and get that one. Hold on a second. Okay, so I copy. And I'm going to go into create music. And I take a piece of the prompt that is basically the essence of the prompt and, come up with like a 15. Usually my segments are 30, which I think the max here is 30 seconds. If you're doing something from the image to music, I think it goes up to 10 minutes. But here's 30 seconds. So just do 15 for the sake of this. And it's going to charge me 1 credit. Not a problem. I don't need to edit anything else. You don't have the option here to kind of do the, in the image to music, you don't have the option to do high, medium, or low, with the intensity of the music. You just got to take what comes and then try it different way. So let me go ahead and try this, generate this one, and see what comes up. Okay, so now just to take a look and see what's going on. That's actually pretty decent. I don't think I'd use it. I'd probably edit it a little bit more, but the idea here is that if you're kind of at a loss for what to use to prompt for your music, try using your image prompt, whittling it down, playing around with it, and seeing what you can come up with. So as far as I'm concerned, I really like Limewire AI Studio. It's given me the opportunity to really get into Dolly 3 and SDXL 1.0 and even Blue Willow. So I will definitely keep using this. This is one of the tools in my toolkit for AI image generation and AI music. So thank you guys so much for your time. Take a look at getting a free account and playing around with it, and let me know how it goes. And I'll see you all in the next video.